Hi everyone. So in the previous lecture, we covered up to the classification of the cementum. We covered the first and second classifications based on the presence or absence of cells or types of fibers present. Now in this lecture, we'll start with Schroeder's classification. That is the third type of classification and it is the most frequently used classification. Now we have five types of cementums in this category. We have acellular eccentric fiber cementum, cellular eccentric fiber cementum, cellular mixed stratified cementum, acellular afibrillar and intermediate cementum. So with the name itself you can understand that the first category, it won't have any cementocytes. Okay, so it is acellular and extrinsic fiber, so it will only have Sharpie's fiber. It won't have any of the little fibers we talked about, the intrinsic ones, so it won't have any of these tiny fibers. Okay, it will only have these large fibers. Okay, then the cellular intrinsic type, it means that it will have cementocytes, so it will have cementocytes like these, and it will have intrinsic fibers, the tiny ones like this. Okay, then mixed stratified, I'll talk about this later on. Acellular afibrillar, if afibrillar, it won't have any fibers, it will be like this. Okay, and then intermediate, so that's whole another topic, I'll talk about it later. Now if I talk about this, so there are various locations where these five types of cementums are present and they have various different purposes. So why their anatomy is like this, it has a purpose. So talking about our first category, that is acellular extrinsic fiber cementum over here. So in single rooted tooth, made this table for you to simplify all the features you need to remember. So in single rooted tooth, they mostly comprise 60 to 90% of the entire cementum. So basically in single rooted tooth, entire cementum is acellular extrinsic type. Okay. In multi-rooted tooth, it is present in the cervical two-thirds only. So over here, if you look at the single-rooted tooth, this entire portion, you can see it has no cementocytes. Cementocytes are these tiny yellow cells. So it could be present in a very small amount in the cervical region. Otherwise, they are generally absent. Okay. So this entire cementum, it has cementoblasts. They are present. Okay. They are always present, but it does not have cementocytes, and in terms of fibers, it has only these extrinsic fibers. Okay, it does not have these intrinsic fibers. So this is the acellular extrinsic fiber cementum. Now this is about single rooted tooth. If you look in the multi rooted tooth, so it is present in the cervical two-thirds, in the top area. Okay, top two-thirds of the tooth is generally made up of this extrinsic, so no cementocytes, and only PDL fibers or the Sharpie's fibers are present, no intrinsic fibers. Okay, so I hope you got it. So that is acellular extrinsic type. Okay, the function is anchorage. Why is it anchorage? We have these PDL fibers. Okay, they are coming into the cementum to provide attachment between the bone and the root. Okay, so that is the primary function of this cementum, that it is providing an anchor between between the bone and the tooth. Okay, so this is the primary function of acellular type cementum, and the fibers present are extrinsic only. Okay. Then the second type we have is cellular intrinsic type, right? So the cellular intrinsic type, if I highlight it over here, cellular intrinsic fiber cementum. So it is generally not present in single rooted tooth. Okay, you can see it is generally absent or in small amount in the apical region. So you could see it in this region. Generally it is absent. Okay, in multi-rooted tooth, it is present in the apical thirds and intraradicular area. So in the multi-rooted tooth, if you look over here, you will see cellular intrinsic fiber cementum in the apical third or the interradicular area. What is meant by cellular intrinsic fiber? So it means that it has cementocytes. These tiny yellow cells you can see, these are cementocytes I talked about in the previous lecture. Okay, and it also has only intrinsic fibers. So I'll talk about this diagram later on. For now, just ignore the right side. Okay, for now, just ignore this side and this side. For now, we'll just focus on this route because it'll simplify it, and in the next category, we'll talk about this route. Okay. So as you can see in this route, we have these tiny fibers, the tiny blue colored fibers. These are intrinsic fibers, and they don't play any role in support or anchorage. Okay. What happens is when the cementum is getting deposited, so cellular cementum is deposited very fast. So if this tooth, maybe if this is my level of occlusion, right? Let's say if this was my level of occlusion, and for some reason the tooth got abraded. So for some reason this tooth had abrasions, and it got abraded over time. So what this cementum will do, it will get deposited over here. The cementum will get deposited over here, and it will push the tooth upwards so that it reaches the level of occlusion back again. Okay, so this is the function of this entire cementum. So that's why it only has intrinsic fibers. It does not need any extrinsic fibers for anchor or support, right? So that is the primary function of the cementum as well. If you look over here, so it is present in the apical thirds and interradicular area. The function is repair and adaptation. So if something happens to the cementum, if it is broken, injured, trauma, so rapid deposition of cellular cementum will take place, or adaptation is maintaining your tooth at the occlusion level. Okay, fibers, it has only intrinsic fiber cement. Now the third category, so we covered the first acellular and the second cellular. Now the third category, we have cellular mixed stratified. So I said last time that ignore this part. Why I said so? To make you understand cellular intrinsic fiber cementum. Now you have to understand that this type of cementum is never present alone. Okay, it is present with layers of this extrinsic fiber cementum. Okay, not extrinsic fiber cementum, but extrinsic fibers. So you will see a layer of cellular intrinsic fiber cementum, and then a layer of I'll use a different color, and then a layer of extrinsic fibers. Okay, I'll have a narrower one, so it'll make it easier for you to understand. So this you can see is the cellular type. Okay, this is the cellular type, and then in the next layer I have the extrinsic fibers. Okay, and then I'll again have cellular type, and then in the next layer I'll have extrinsic fibers. So this type of cementum, the cellular intrinsic fiber type of cementum, it is not present alone. Okay, it can't be just cellular fibers. It is present in layers with extrinsic fibers, and this is called cellular mixed stratified cementum. Okay, so it is, again, that's why in the table it is present, it has all the same features. Okay, it is single rooted, it is absent in single rooted, it is present in the cervical region of the apical region of the multi-rooted tooth. The function is repair and adaptation. They are essentially the same things. Okay, it just has one another layer, and what this was, it was a part of this cementum. So we discussed a part of cellular mixed stratified cementum as cellular intrinsic type cementum. Okay, and then since we are talking about the whole part, it has both extrinsic and intrinsic fibers. Now remember that these extrinsic fibers, they do not have any role in anchorage or anything because they are not attached outside. They are just present in fragments within the cementum. They are not attached outside, so they don't play any role in anchorage. Okay, now moving to the last type, acellular afibrillar cementum. So it is occasionally present coronal to the CEJ. So it is very rarely present, generally over here. Okay, next to the CEJ. Now the function, it has no function, and it has no cementocytes, so no fibers as well. Okay, so it is just deposited in the topmost layer. It has no function, it has no cementocytes. It is just when cementum gets a bit extended near the enamel, then we have acellular afibrillar cementum. It does not have any cementocytes, it does not have any fibers, extrinsic or intrinsic. Okay, it has no function as well. Now intermediate cementum, it is present as a thin layer all over all the tooths. Okay, it is present all in very thin layer around all the teeth. So I'll discuss about this later on. Okay, now moving on to the differences between acellular extrinsic fiber cementum and cellular intrinsic fiber cementum. So these are the two major types we talked about, right? So first was location. So the acellular one was located from cervical to the apical third, and it was located from the in the apical third and furcations only. Okay, this one is formed early in the primary cementum, and this one is needed later on for repair or for adaptation. I talked about how its function is pushing the tooth to the occlusal level or repair, so it is formed later on. There is difference in the composition, so it has non-collagenous proteins, and it has only it has these non-collagenous proteins are absent, but these non-collagenous proteins are present in cellular intrinsic fiber cementum. Okay, these growth factors are absent in extrinsic fiber, but they are present in the intrinsic fibers. Now again, with the proteoglycan same, there is some compositional difference. Now coming to the cementoid. So cementoid is unmineralized cementum, so it is absent in acellular cementum, but in the cellular cementum you can see some cementoid on the surface. Okay, it only contains extrinsic fibers, it contains only intrinsic fibers, right? And extrinsic fibers are periodontal ligament, right? And they are formed by fibroblasts. Intrinsic fibers are produced by cementoblasts. Okay, it is the only type of cementum in single rooted tooth. Mostly it is absent in single rooted teeth. The main function is anchorage, the main function is adaptation and repair. It has very slow formation. Intrinsic one has rapid formation. Therefore the incremental lines are closer together, and over here the incremental lines are further apart. So I have explained this in the previous lecture. Cementocytes are not seen. Cementocytes are seen, and they vary to various degrees. Cementoblasts are derived from HERS, and cementoblasts are derived from dental follicle over here, right? Cementoblasts do not express parathyroid hormone, and cementoblasts express parathyroid hormone. So these are the major differences. Even if you don't talk about the components, the collagenous protein growth factors, and all these things are slightly difficult to understand and memorize. So even if you talk about the basic differences like this, the location, the rate of formation, function, single rooted tooth, multi rooted tooth, okay, incremental lines. So these differences should be enough to get you good marks. Okay, now moving ahead with the cemento-dentinal junction. So we are done with the classification. Now these are the little tiny topics that may come in as short note or in your viva, even in your practical exams. Okay, so you should know about them. Now coming to cemento-dentinal junction. So you would know it is the junction between the cementum and the dentine, right? So just for visualization, if this is your tooth, okay, very bad drawing of a tooth, and this is the dentine over here, and you would have your cementum outside somewhere, right? So if I zoom in, this junction would be, I'll use a different pen, this junction would be cemento-dentinal junction. So what are the features of this junction? It is smooth in adults and scalloped in deciduous teeth. So if you look at the margin, if you're looking at the margin uh, in adults, so if say this is your dentine, right, and this is your cementum. In adults it will be smooth, it will be like a straight line, but in children, in deciduous teeth, it will be scalloped, meaning it will be like this, kind of like this. Okay, so this is one of the distinguishing features. In decalcified and stained histologic cementum stain more intensely than dentine. So if you have a decalcified section of this cementum or dentine, the slides we use, you would see that the cementum is far more stained, and the cementum is more stained than the dentine. Okay, then cementum fibers are arranged in distinct bundles, whereas dentinal fibers are arranged more haphazardly. So it is saying that the fibers that the dentine has, they are more organized. So they are arranged in more of a bundle form. Okay, like this. And the dentinal fibers, they are more like randomly lying across the dentine. Cementum is more electron dense than dentine. Collagen is generally associated with glycoaminoglycans. This increases their water content and increases stiffness, which helps in redistributing occlusal force. So this is just talking about the mechanical feature that the this junction, it contains glycoaminoglycans. So what happens is, because of the glycoaminoglycans, they absorb a lot of water, and this makes the junction really stiff, and that's why they can bear the they can bear the occlusal forces over here in the cementum. So they can bear the occlusal forces, and because of the stiffness, they can redistribute these forces to the occlusal to the bones, the alveolar bone lying next to it. So basically the glycoaminoglycans make it more mechanically sound. Okay. The intermingling of dentinal and cementum fibers are more in cellular cementum and acellular cementum. So these fibers, if you look closely, I'll just draw a different diagram. So if this is your dentine and this is your cementum, they both have fibers, right? They both have some sort of fibers. This one has more organized and this one has more haphazard, right? So there will be some intermingling at some point over here. Okay, these ones, even if they are organized, they will be intermingling. So in acellular cementum, there will be less intermingling. So acellular would be like this, and in cellular cementum, there will be more intermingling between the fibers of dentine and cementum. Now moving ahead to intermediate cementum. So this kind of relates to the cemento-enamel junction. Intermediate cementum is a layer between dentine and cementum. So I said there is a, if this is your tooth, if this is if this is your tooth, right, there is a thin layer of cementum, that is intermediate cementum, present all around the cementum and dentine. Okay, so it is present all around the cementum and dentine. Outside you have your cementum and inside is your, use yellow color for dentine. So inside you have your dentine, and this purple color thing is your intermediate cementum. Now it does not have characteristic properties of either dentine or cementum. There should be cementum. Okay, so it has the properties it shows are different than dentine or cementum. So it can't be distinctly called a type of cementum or a dentine. Okay. Now, it is structureless kind of. It does not have an organized structure. It is slightly structureless. Okay, so it is, and that's why it is also known as hyaline layer, because hyaline means structurelessness. So that's why it is also called hyaline layer. Predominantly, it is seen in the apical two-thirds of molars. So mostly it will be seen in this region, and premolars of molars and premolars. Okay, and rarely in incisors of deciduous tooth. So it is mostly seen in the posteriors, not in the anteriors. Okay, what it might be, so there we don't know exactly where it comes from, what's the origin, but there is some theory that it might be trapped HERS when the cementum or dentine was getting rapidly deposited. Okay, so some HERS got stuck over here, it remains there and it becomes the intermediate dentine. Okay, it is generally believed to be of dentinal origin, as it contains no tubules but wide spaces which are believed to be terminal ends of dentinal tubules. So what it's saying is that if you remember the structure of dentine, you would know that there are tubules going like this. So it is saying that intermediate cementum, it is mostly considered of dentinal origin, because although it does not have any tubules, there are no tubules present, but the terminals, this open wide space we can see in here, and they are the terminals, meaning ending of these dentinal tubules we can see inside the intermediate cementum over here. Okay, so they are considered to be of dentinal origin mostly. Now the third topic is cemento-enamel junction. So we talked about cemento-dentinal junction. Now here is your tooth. Okay, here's your tooth and here's your cementum. So this junction where the enamel meets the cementum, it is the cemento-enamel junction. Now it is of various types. Various, I mean three. First is the overlapping type. What it means is the cementum. So here I have the enamel. Okay, the enamel was probably present up to here, and then a layer of cementum was deposited over the enamel. Okay, so this layer of cementum was deposited over the enamel, so it is called the overlapping type. It is present in around 60% of the population. Now the second type is edge to edge, so there is no overlapping, the enamel ended over here and cementum was deposited just below the enamel. Okay, so it is called edge to edge. It is present in about 30% of the population. And the third type is gap. So in gap, the enamel ended over here, up above over here, and the dentine started a bit below it. So you can see a tiny gap between the enamel and the dentine and the cementum. Okay, so it is present in only about 10% of the population. Now talking about what is the difference in the formation of these three. So why do we see an overlap? So our enamel was up to here and then a cementum got deposited on top of that. Why? Because enamel epithelium degenerates in this at its cervical terminal, and connective tissue cementoblast, they come in direct contact of the enamel. So if you remember, we have outer enamel epithelium. So it is saying that the outer enamel epithelium, maybe it got degenerated in this region, and then our enamel, it came in contact with the outside, that was dental sac and all the tissue. So that differentiated into cementoblast and it started laying cementum over here. Okay, so that's what happened in the first type, in the 60% of the type overlapping junction. Now 30% there is no change, the enamel ended over here, the cementum laid down over here, so there is no anomaly as per se. Now in the third type, the gap junction, it is saying that maybe what happened is the enamel epithelium stayed in here for a longer time than it was expected to. Okay, so it overstayed over here, and by then we already had the dentine formation and then the cementum formation already started below it. So it stayed over here, and that's why no cementum ever formed in the gap. Okay, now there is a difference between the occurrence in deciduous teeth. So in the deciduous teeth, the most common type is the second type, edge to edge. Okay, it is the most common type. The overlapping type is the second most common. So this is the first, this is the second, and this is the third most common in children in deciduous teeth. In adults, this is the first most common. This is the second, and this is the third. Okay. Now, the last topic, that is one, not the last topic, the last topic from examination point of view is the functions of cementum. Okay, so in functions, what are the major functions of cementum? It is a very important question. Okay, the first function is anchorage. So you would know that we have a tooth, we have dentine, we have enamel. Okay, imagine a tooth without cementum. We have this. Where would PDL enter? If there was no cementum, it would have to enter the dentine. But dentine is highly sensitive. It has all the nerve endings. It has the dentinal tubules. You can't even let air enter it. How can you allow PDL to enter it? So your cementum makes attachment possible. Okay, it provides a medium for attachment of collagen fibers, and thus this binds the tooth to the alveolar bone. So if there was no cementum, we wouldn't be able to attach our tooth to the alveolar bone. Okay, second is adaptation. So it makes functional adaptation possible. So I have repeated this a lot of times, that if something happens to our tooth, the height or the repair function is adjusted because of the cementum. So if that was not present, imagine our tooth got abraded from here, so our tooth disappeared for some reason. Okay, over time it got abraded and it got tinier over here. So if we had no cementum, our occlusal level would be this. The occlusal level would be this, like previous as it was made. But then there would be a gap between the occlusal level and the tooth. So what cementum does, cementum gets deposited at the bottom of the tooth. Over here there would be a lot of cementum deposition, and this would push the tooth upwards. Okay, so it would bring it to the occlusal level. That is called adaptation and repair. Okay, that is called adaptation. The third function is repair. So it is a major reparative tissue for tooth surfaces. Fracture and resorption can be repaired by deposition of new cementum. So if something happens to the tooth, it gets broken over here or some fracture happens, that is repaired by deposition of new cementum. So these are the major functions of cementum. Now the last topic we have is hypercementosis. It is a clinical thing. Okay, so it is a clinical topic and it is very important for you to understand this. What is hypercementosis? So it is excessive deposition of cementum, but it is non-neoplastic. So it is not like a cancer or a tumor. It is non-neoplastic. It is a deposition of normal cementum on the root surface of teeth, generally caused by response to a stimuli. So it is excessive deposition of cementum, that is not neoplastic, so it is not abnormal, it is normal cementum, and it is generally in response to a stimuli. Okay, it can happen all over the teeth. Okay, it can happen to all your 32 or 28 teeth, or it could happen in a single part of a tooth, of a single tooth. Now there are two parts. There is hypertrophy and there is hyperplasia. So what is hypertrophy and what is hyperplasia? Hypertrophy is, um, if overgrowth improves the functional quality of the cementum, it is called as hypertrophy. So if excessive cementum is getting deposited, let's say for adaptation, okay, for providing anchorage, then it is called hypertrophy. But if an overgrowth occurs in non-functional teeth, or it is not related with increase in function, it is termed as hyperplasia. So if just cementum is getting deposited for no proper anchorage or no proper reason, then it is called it is called hyperplasia. It can be seen in non-functional teeth, the tooth that are already um, not very much not playing any significant role in your everyday life. You can see hyperplasia in those teeth, and hypertrophy will increase the quality of attachment of your teeth. Okay, so in localized hypertrophy, so localized hypertrophy means is, I have this tooth. Okay, this is my tooth. So for some reason, let's say that there is not proper attachment between the alveolar bone and the tooth over here. So I have many fibers over here, right? But for some reason I have only a few. Some injury happened or something. So a lot of cementum will get deposited over here. It is called in a spur or prong like extension of cementum. So over here I have normal cementum, but over here I deposited a lot of cementum. What this did, it provided me a lot of surface area for attachment of PDL. So now I have a PDL attached all over it. So this will provide support to this tooth and play a role in anchorage. Okay, and it will improve the function of this tooth. Maybe the tooth was tilting over here, so now this will bring the tooth back in its occlusal position. Okay, so where this happens, it happens in teeth that are exposed to stress, a lot of stress. Okay, and these extensions, they provide large surface area for attaching fibers. Now hyperplasia, why is it happening in the non-functional teeth? If it's not playing any role in the occlusion, then what do we have over here? So extensive hyperplasia of cementum is occasionally occurred with chronic peripheral inflammation. So if there is a lot of excessive cementum deposition, you that could be due to peripheral inflammation. Okay, so in various diseases of the alveolar bone or gingiva. Here hyperplasia is circumscribed and surrounds the tooth like a cuff. So it means that the cementum surrounds the entire tooth. Maybe like this even. There's so much of cementum deposition that it surrounds the tooth like a cuff. Okay. Hyperplasia of cementum in non-functional teeth is characterized by reduction in number of Sharpie's fibers embedded in the root. So although there would be a lot of cementum, but you won't see any Sharpie's fibers. Okay, you won't see a lot of Sharpie's fibers. So if in the normal cementum I have this many, in this hyperplasia I will see only a few. Okay, now another, this is a characteristic feature of chronic hyperplasia. Okay, then cementum is thicker around the apex of all teeth and a furcation of multi-rooted teeth. So these are the areas where you would see the thickest of cementum. Okay, hyperplastic cementum covering enamel drops uh, in dentine occasionally is irregular and sometimes contains round body. So if you know what enamel drops are, that these are just like tiny droplets or tiny structures of enamel that are accidentally formed on dentine sometimes. So maybe some enamel epithelium was accidentally present over here and it forms enamel over the dentine. So when cementum is being formed in here, some excess cementum gets formed. So normally I would have only cementum like this, right? But since I have an enamel drop, there would be some excess of cementum over here covering it as well. So you can see this, and this cementum is generally irregular and it may contain round bodies. Okay. Then excementosis, localized hyperplastic cementum, which are knob-like projections around the degenerated epithelial rest cell. You can see these are the type of cementum. So this is just excessive deposition of cementum. Excementosis, it is just excessive deposition of cementum without enamel drops, you can say. Okay, so I just have some excess cementum deposited over here. Why is it deposited over here? Because maybe in the center of this I have some degenerated epithelial cell rest. So there is some there was some cell rest lying over here. Okay, it got degenerated, and when cementum deposition started, so when cementum was getting deposited, a lot of cementum got deposited over here and it formed excementosis. Okay, so this is about hypercementosis. So very important topic from examination point of view, from practical, theory, viva, everything. Okay. Some clinical considerations. So this is important to know, just for your knowledge, that cementum is more resistant to resorption than bone. For this reason, orthodontic tooth movements are made possible. Okay, so in orthodontics, you would know that if I have this bone and this tooth, so if I apply a pressure over here, the tooth will move in this direction. Okay, if I'm applying a pressure over here, the tooth will move slightly in this direction. This is made possible because cementum is more resistant to resorption than the bone. Because if cementum was getting resorbed, you wouldn't be able to make the teeth move. Over here, what is happening, that the bone is getting resorbed. Right? I'm applying pressure and the bone got resorbed before the cementum. So the tooth actually moved. So the tooth moved over here because it had to maintain this much distance and the tooth moved. Okay. In careful orthodontic treatment, cementum resorption is minimal or absent, but bone resorption leads to tooth migration. So same thing what I said. Okay, so also there are two more clinical considerations. So there is anatomic repair and functional repair. So anatomic repair is when you have something happened to the tooth, okay, and this new cementum is formed in a way like the old cementum was. So it just reestablishes the outline of the cementum, that is called anatomic repair. Okay. In functional repair, what happens is the cemental repair outline of the alveolar bone follows that of the root surface, so that functional relation is resultant, that is known as functional repair. So in here what happens is, I have this root and I have an alveolar bone, right? So the cementum will be formed in a way that support the function of the tooth. So maybe if I have, let's say I have a defect in here. Okay. Mm, I have some desorption in here. So the new cementum that will be formed, it won't follow the outline of the tooth. It will, there will be more cementum deposition over here to reestablish the function. Okay. There will be more, so it can have this, it will have this type of cementum. Okay. So it won't follow the outline of the tooth. It will have cementum formed in this way to support the function of the tooth. Okay. In this type of repair, you can have areas that are partially filled like these, and there can be presence of bay-like defects over the root surface. So this can appear as a defect, but it's not. Okay, so sufficient cementum is deposited over here for its function. Maybe there was some resorption, but sufficient is deposited. Functional repair of the the alveolar bone creates a bony projection for establishing normal physiology width of the periodontal attachment. So what will happen is that the bone will also have some, I'll just erase this, because the bone wants normal physiology with your cementum, right? So the alveolar bone will also have this projection over here. So you have normal PDL attachment like everywhere else with this part as well. Okay, so this is about anatomic and functional repair. This is all about the cementum chapter. For notes, you can join the Telegram channel. I hope this lecture helps you. Thank you.